Hey guys, welcome to a new edition of the watch along videos. This is my second attempt at the Jenny Belly August challenge, and first of all I'm going to create a frame. A picture frame, that is. The challenge is that you should make a page about something that you dream of having in your life and that kind of motivates you. And what I want to have in my life and what definitely motivates me is I want to grow old with my husband. And this week we had our 5th wedding anniversary. That's why I take it as a topic, and it actually is perfect just for the sentiment of the challenge that says laws of attraction. How could that be not attraction, right? So I'm using this whatever foam from whatever delivery. I don't remember. I think it was from the last computer delivery of my husband, but I'm so not sure. But it's perfect, that squishy foam thing, to use as a picture frame on my art journal page. And I'm actually using also the photo of our wedding that you just saw. So what I want to create is something totally goofy, because Daniel and I, in our relationship, we're so goofy. We're really weird. And I want that to come through on the page, so I'm going to make a goofy page. And it's actually the view on my nightstand as an old lady. So in maybe 50 or 60 years, my nightstand on my bedside might actually just look like the way my page is going to look in the end. And I think it's quite goofy. But I'm not gonna share too much yet. I'm just rambling along while I create the page and enjoy the voiceover and watching the video. So I'm trying to round up the edges of the picture frame right here, and I'm just gonna cut out the frame of this weird foamy substance that like I said, I don't know what that is. But I guess it came with a delivery of I think my husband's computer. And now I'm using one of my X-Acto knives, and like I said, I have a bunch of them, as you can see, just to cut out the inner part of the frame. It actually works quite well. I just need 1 or 2 goes at the frame, like at the cutting up through the material. It is 1/2 centimeter thick, so that would be 1/4 of an inch, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I guess did I not? Whatever. Just look it up on the internet. 1/2 centimeter. How many inches is that? I guess it's 1/4 of an inch, but I'm not sure. So that's how thick that frame is. So it doesn't make my art journal that much more bulky as it already is. So I'm just taking off the inner part of the frame that I'm not gonna need. And I made the frame a little bit bigger than the photo, because I don't want the background to shine through. So it's gonna overlap just a teensy tiny bit. That's why I have more than one line drawn at 2 of the sides. So that's my frame, ta-da! But black is totally boring, and I would never have a black frame in my bedroom. So I go for a design that is very close to an actual frame that I have, and that had a photo for the longest time in my bedroom, and that actually now moved to the photo wall in our library / living room. So you see the measurements were okay, and I'm using buff titanium acrylics to color the frame, like the background of the frame. There will be more added to the frame. As you can see, I just brought in some wooden pearls that I had remaining in my stock like forever, 6 years, I guess. I used those pearls at the huge African photo painting that I did 6 years ago. That's also in my Etsy store, with the 3 girls and the huge bush and all of the tiny canvases on with the pearls. So that's from that project. So I'm just gonna paint the frame, and I'm using some more cardboard as a protective surface, because I'm going to switch between that frame and the art journal itself back and forth, and I just don't want any remains of the buff titanium to be on the outside of my journal once I put it down. So I'm trying to save time here and have a way quicker design. As you can see, it's not a sped up video, but this is real time, real time, real time, because it's just 1 hour long. So the design is way faster than the last 2 that I did, where I had to speed up the video in order to stay around 45 minutes or 1 hour video length. So I'm better that way. I made a quicker design, but you know, I guess I don't want just to put down any sloppy, quick designs in my art journal. I want to put something that's meaningful into my art journal. So if I take more than 2 hours for it, I think I'm just going for speeding it up, the video, speeding it up, and just going along with the creation process. You can't rush art, I think. So why should I do that with my art journal, just to keep around, I don't know, an hour or something for a video, when there's so many sweet technological things as time-lapse and voiceover and everything. So I can make it work for you guys to watch along in a, well, halfway decent way. I'm not there with the perfect lighting and voiceover and everything yet, but hey, it's authentic. So I guess I'm just gonna do what I can do with the tools that I have. So I'm just painting all of the visible parts of the frame, and it's quite flimsy, so it's a bit of a hassle at the sides because the color doesn't stick too well, or it just gets sucked into the material. So I need more than one coat, and it's quite difficult to hold the frame down. So what I do is just I paint pretty much the protection surface and hope that as much color as possible gets onto the frame material, not only on the cardboard surface. Otherwise, the material takes the acrylics quite well. It absorbs the stuff pretty well, and the color, well, it is opaque, but it also sits well on the materials, meaning that it's not streaky, it's opaque. I just need one coat and I'm done with it. It's a pretty good material, and I might just use it for other stuff in the future. So now that I'm done, I am taking the frame to another space in my studio, just letting it air dry, And meanwhile, I'm working on the art journal pages, starting with the background there, and I'm putting on some protective paper sheets to protect the adjacent designs. I don't mind having a bit of the neighbor design color on the page, but not too much. I don't want to ruin it. That's I just put too much work into that. So putting down the box to make an even surface and the art journal page on top, that's last week's design. And I'm just gonna put the pages, and it might be a bit tricky with this one with the chain, but I'm gonna manage. I'm using one of my old hair clips from back in the day when I had long hair, using them to actually hold down the page and hold everything in place. They're pretty handy because they're, well, a bit bigger, and you can use them easily for art journal pages to stay down while you do something on them. I'm struggling with the white. I don't know why, but this time this container, every time that I try to open it and have it cleaned or not have it cleaned, it doesn't matter. It just, I don't know, it just resists. And I'm looking forward to have this container cleaned out and be empty and just go for the next one and hope that it was produced in a way that would actually let me open it without breaking my fingers. So I'm just putting down a white, titanium white background. I'm going to have quite colorful and prominent stuff on the page, so I want to not have it too wild or mixed up with just being like, wow, in your face. So I'm using a white background, which is actually pretty close to what we do have in our bedroom, because we only have white walls in our house because there are so many very colorful paintings of mine all over the place. So I need to have a calm, quiet, white background to be able to hang up a lot of paintings that I did throughout the years. So that's what happens in real life, and that's what also is depicted in my art journal page this week. So just painting that page, getting rid of the grid that came with the book. It's pretty handy for some designs, but I would not have liked it for this design. It would have looked too weird. I'm really looking forward for next year to have a different kind of a book. One with not a binding, but with those rings, like the college books, that would probably make it easier to have straight surfaces when I'm on the same place of the book that I am now. So I'm really struggling with the binding, but whatever. So I just dried off the page, and now I'm cutting a piece of a paper tablecloth that I used at a party not too long ago. We had a birthday party of a very good friend that stayed for a week on holidays with us. So I had that bright yellow tablecloth, and I just kept it because I thought, well, I could use that on different art stuff. It's pretty and it's bright, and who knows what I'm gonna make with it. So I use it and cut it down to a better size to make a pillow, because the left side of the page will actually be a partial of the bed. Like on the right there will be a nightstand, on the left you will have part of a pillow. So you look at my side of the bed when I'm like 80 or 90, and that's what you see. You see a part of my pillow, and you see, well, the picture frame and some other stuff that will definitely tip you off that it's not what you would look at right now if you would see my bedroom and stuff, but it would be, it's definitely me in a couple of years, I guess. So I'm just trying to figure out how to put the pillow down. And in the end I'm going to use, well, I'm going to trim it, of course, because it was just too big. But I'm going to use spray adhesive to glue down the tablecloth. Gosh. I'm going to glue down the tablecloth with spray adhesive in the beginning, just to be able to start with the crinkles and everything and not have everything wander on the page. And then I'm going to use the glue and varnish that came for the napkin technique and the decoupage technique. It actually works pretty well with those thicker tablecloths too, because it's the same material as a napkin, it's just double the size, so that's fine. And it will hold the crinkles and everything in place once I dabbed on the glue and varnish. And it will actually also kind of seal the pillow in a bit, so that makes it easier for stuff to go on it, like shades and everything. So, but let's start with the glue. So I'm using the spray adhesive, gluing that stuff down, hoping that I don't ruin my page. And I'm okay. So I'm making intentionally, I'm having the crinkle there already. Crinkle, because a pillow is never straight, at least not in my house. And I'm just going to try to form a part of a pillowcase there. Ta-da! So now I'm going to, this is the patch varnish glue thing. There's no English word on it, so I try to find the English translation for that. But well, it's glue and varnish for napkins and decoupage. Voila! So I'm just gonna use a bigger brush and just put it down. I don't have to care about having it even or whatever. The cloth soaks it in pretty well, so I don't care. But it makes a nice surface in the end. It just hardens it a bit, so, but not too much, so you can still like bend the page, but it's a clean enough surface that you could actually paint something on that. It's a perfect background for really having a complete design painted on only the cloth that is soaked in that glue and varnish. That would actually work. Maybe I do that one day. Guess I got an idea now. But anyways, let's go on with this one right now. I'm just, like I said, dabbing it on, trying to keep the crinkles that I created to make it look like a pillowcase. And I know that it could also be a shirt right now, and later on when I add buttons it could even be more of a shirt. But I think it's a pillowcase. I never had the lower part that you're supposed to have, like the lower part of the pillowcase on the lower part. I'm just turning the pillow like 1500 times a night. So it could very well be that the part where the buttons are on a pillowcase, that they are actually not even horizontally, but vertically, and they're looking just like the pillow does in that design in a couple of minutes. So That's me. I could actually sleep without a pillow. That would be best. Oftentimes it's just sitting on top of my head, and I'm just on top of my bed, and I'm not even putting my head on it. It's just above my head. So, anyways, I just dried off the cloth. I'm just taking the book away. I'm going back to the frame, and I'm drying off the frame now as well with a blow dryer, because it just took too long. It didn't dry off as fast just with the natural heat in my studio, and that was actually kind of curious because it was fucking hot in my studio. So hot. And the colors didn't dry off on that material fast enough. So anyways, I'm just going in with my stamp ink pads, and I'm trying to give the frame an antique, rustic look, and that's why I use the stamp pads here and there. I could have also used acrylics, but that would have taken even longer, and I think those stamps, those ink pads are pretty handy for this kind of work that I'm doing. So I'm just dabbing it down. The frame doesn't have an even surface, so it just touches on the upper parts and enhances the pattern that is on the material, which makes the frame look even more like beachy or sandy, like sand. It's just earthy and natural, and it's a quick, pretty way to create depth on a frame. So I'm now going forward, adding all of my remaining wooden pearls that I have. They're actually jewelry pieces, but I never use them for that, just like I said, for other artwork design, like on canvas. And I'm just now trying to figure out what to put where, and I don't care if it is a straight line or not, or what is going to be. And that's actually not the finished design that you're seeing there. And oh gosh, I'm so sorry, I'm yawning again. Damn, it's not even that late. The time I'm voicing this over, it's 5:30 in the evening, and then I'm just awake for 4 hours now, so damn. And again, I'm already tired. Anyways, I'm moving forward with redesigning the frame. I'm pushing things around. I'm trying to figure out which piece of wood goes where, what would look pretty on a frame, and I'm actually working on the final design here. This is what it's going to look like. And once that's done, I'm just using my normal paper glue, and I'm going to glue the pieces down. And I now know what my tool is named like in English. It's a tweezer that I'm going to use, because I have clumsy hands, and for the smaller parts I'm not able to hold them in place and glue everything down and not have everything all over my fingers. You see here, like with the bigger pieces, I'm already struggling a bit. I have glue all over my fingers, and I don't want that to happen like all the time. So at one point I'm just picking up my tweezers, and I'm using them to hold especially the rings. Gonna hold them with the tweezer and just apply glue, and then just easily putting them onto the frame. I'm probably searching for them right now. Yes, I am. Here we are. See? Ta-da! So clever. They look so professional. Wow. So I'm just amazed. Or not. Whatever. Yeah, I'm just gluing down all of the pieces. And this glue actually is pretty good for that, although it's a paper glue and not a wood glue, but it's not too thin, it doesn't run too much. And it doesn't have those spiderweb-like things too much when you, like a hot glue or something that has a lot of these thin spider webs when you use it. So I think it's the glue that I use most in my art journals. So that's one of my favorites there. I would use, however, hot glue way more often if it wouldn't be such a mess and if you wouldn't have to have it next to a socket to get electricity for it to power it. And yeah, the cord of my hot glue gun is not long enough to have it at this place, like this setup, where I also have my camera and the 3 lights that I'm using for this workspace, and my blow dryer is on the same socket. So if I would add my glue gun, everything would have to move just because the cord is not long enough, and that's just too much of a hassle. Otherwise I would use it regularly, but not on the art journal, I guess. But on the crafting stuff I would use it there way more often. But anyways, I can use it only if I have an extension cord or if I'm not recording a video for it. But luckily this glue is just as strong as hot glue, so that's totally fine there. And now that I'm done with the frame, I'm going back to the art journal page, just letting the glue set meanwhile, and I'm going to glue down the frame in a few minutes. But before I can do that, I actually have to dab the pearls on my frame, and then I have to paint the nightstand of my art journal. And for that I'm using sienna and red ochre to give it like a wooden look. But first of all I gotta trim the pillowcase because I want my pages nice and clean. Yeah, you can't see anything there, so that's good. Just trimming any excess cloth off before I go in with painting. I've been using a lot of these 2 colors recently, the sienna and the red ochre, because they are in the bag of the colors that I want to use up fairly quickly. So they're I'm grabbing them more often than not when it comes to art journaling or the challenges that I do once in a while, where I grab colors from exactly that bag and then I have to paint something with it, like on a canvas or whatever. So that's why those colors came up more often than not. And here are those 2 colors. And I'm just gonna go ahead, use a tiny bit of both, mix them together, and create like a wooden surface. I'm using natural brushes for these kind of paintings because and not synthetic brushes because they add texture to the painting without me even trying too hard. So the wooden grains or the patterns there could be hinted on just by using a natural brush and not using those smooth synthetic brushes that are actually way better for watercolors. I don't like them too much with the acrylics, but once in a while I of course go for them too. But you see here that this the brushes make a nice pattern. It kind of looks like wood. You could your brain could say, yeah, it's not a high quality piece of furniture that is there, but it's definitely a wooden furniture, not plastic or metal or whatever. And that's all I want to achieve with the way I put the colors down. So just mixing those two up, painting this tiny nightstand, just part of it. The rest is out of frame, of course. And I'm applying the third layer just to have the pattern going up from up to down, not from right to left. Because the pattern these brushes make are quite prominent and they stay once you have the design dried. So I want them this way. And again, not happy with it yet, but one day I will stop. Yeah, I guess by now I'm done with the painting. Yes, I am, and I'm drying off the nightstand with my blow dryer, just enough to be able to work on the surface right away, because I'm just so impatient when it comes to art journaling and letting the pieces dry. It's really a challenge for me. And now I'm just going ahead and using the same color that I have on my palette and pretty much in the brush. I didn't clean out the brush. And I'm just adding shadows at the pillow with the same color. There are tiny orange dots on the yellow cloth, as you can see. So the shadows of the pillow could actually be more orangey or brownish looking. So using the same color then with the nightstand, it's totally believable to the eye. So I'm just going over the crinkles that are still in the pillowcase. I'm going over the valleys that I left on purpose, like on the upper parts, those crinkly valleys. So what I'm doing now, I search through my button collection which buttons I could use to make like a handle for the drawer on the nightstand. Thought it would be cool to have a button there, and I'm just searching for the right size and color and everything. And I'm also putting down 2 buttons on the pillow. I found some very cute ones that I just liked, and I thought, well, they would fit on the pillow. So there's a gold one, but I think it's too tiny. I don't like it that much, but I like the gray ones for the pillow, that's for sure. I got the bigger ones, brown or black, and I'm just trying to figure out which one to take and what to go for. I also found one of like this weird beige mauve whatever color, but I don't have a second one for for that kind of a button, so I'm not going to use it on the pillow. So, but meanwhile I found the buttons that I want to use on the drawer. It's actually a ring that is for hanging up curtains. You just add a little hook with I don't know what it's called, but you clip on the curtain down there and you put the rings on the curtain rail thing on top of the window. Anyways, so this I'm talking so much crappy stuff here. So anyways, that ring is from the curtains that we hung up in our living room, and I just added a black button that fits inside of the ring perfectly, but also it just sits kind of like on top of the inner part of the ring, so it just gives it texture. And now I'm just cutting the gray buttons from the sign fabric in the background and loosening the yarn there, and then I'm just going to glue down all of the buttons. Now I'm kind of struggling here with the yarn. It's really holding the stuff in place. So sometimes you can separate the buttons pretty easily from that fabric, but sometimes it's, I don't know, it's like really difficult. So the first button's off, second one to follow. And of course I do that outside of the frame. Why would I show you that, right? It's like I talked about that in the last couple of videos. I'm actually thinking about maybe I put down stripes of tape that would indicate to me while I work on the stuff that what the camera frame is, because I'm not thinking about the camera once I start working on my pages. I just work on the pages and I have the camera over my head and it's recording, and oftentimes I just forget that I have the camera running, so either my bulky head is in the way or I work outside the frame. So I'm actually really thinking about putting down some duct tape or whatever to indicate to me that what the camera frame is, and that I'm reminded that where I gotta work. And those clingy things were just my husband asking me where to go for dinner, and I just quickly, I quickly have to add, I just quickly have to answer. Hold on. So I'm just trying to figure out where to put the frame, because it has to be I can't have it at an angle because the photo is not at an angle. So I just gotta have the front look of the page, which I'm not too happy about, but hey, what can you do about it? I don't have any other photos, and I didn't want to draw a wedding photo. I wanted to use a real one. So I'm just trying to figure it out how I can mark where I want my photo to go, because the photo is way smaller than the frame, that's for sure. So I don't want to glue down the frame and have like a tiny space between the photo and the the hold on. I don't want to have a space between the frame and the picture, so I figured out that I would just have tiny dots on 3 points where the edges of the photos are, and I'm just gluing the photo down now. And when I glue down the frame, I can use the photo as a reference, and for a couple of seconds I can move the frame around before the glue sticks to the page too much, so I should be fine with that. And the frame actually covers up the 3 marks that I just did, so I don't care pretty much. So I'm just putting that down. I really like that photo. It's one of my favorites. My wedding photographer was actually my brother. Just had him taking my photos because he knows what kind of photos I like, and he made beautiful, gorgeous wedding photos of us. So that's one of them. And I really like it. Can't believe it's already been 5 years. Jesus Christ. Time really flies, right? So now you can imagine why I can see myself being 80 or 90 looking at a wedding photo and saying, yeah, I did it. Mission accomplished. I did grow older with my husband. That's my challenge. And that's actually what I'm working on every day, because in a marriage or in any kind of a relationship, you have to work to work on it to succeed, and not to get lazy or to not get bored or just sick of each other. That's just pretty much it. So that's my goal. I want to grow old with him. I want to make it. I want to have a good and a happy marriage. And so far, I'm doing very well. But I have to say, I kind of, quote-unquote, cheated because I married my best friend. So there's more layers to our marriage than just the traditional physical attraction. So I know that I'm going to add some more stuff on the right side of the page, and I've found that the left side of the page was a bit too empty and it was not balanced. So I chose this rainbow paper, and I'm going to only use the green part of it to make a tag again. And this time I'm using one of the stencils that I have on my rulers, and I'm just going to create a sweet tag there. I really like that apple green and that like phthalo green, petroleum green that goes into the blue. I really like it, and I think it would fit perfect with the yellow pillow. I think it would be a nice color, and we also have a lot of lighter greens in the wedding photos, so it would have the same color scheme somewhere else in the design, which makes it more how to say it, well, it just feels more natural to the eye when you look at a painting where you have colors when they reappear somewhere in the painting. Just makes it more calm and more well, homogeneous pretty much already. Yeah. So I'm just making more of a longer, more narrow tag here, and just gonna cut it out. I'm just gonna write the stuff that I want, that I dream of, on it. And I think the motivational part is actually the challenge, growing old with him. That's the motivation, that you have a successful marriage, that you feel good with your partner even after 50, 60 years being together, that you still love each other and can be around each other without being sick of each other. That's the motivation and the challenge all in one. So I'm not going to put anything else down other than the dream that I have. And when I write down the quote, you will actually see that it has like a double meaning for me too. But I'm gonna come back to that in a second when I actually write down my sentiment. So, yay, there it is, looking for my pencil. I just want to round up the edges, and I'm not really good to make it even on both sides. So I could do that with the bigger pieces of paper, like with the frame. I was okay doing it in that side, but with the tiny ones, I'm horrible. So that's why I use a stencil there to help me out with the rounded edges. Because I think it was looking just too harsh with the not rounded edges, because on one side there's this framey pattern with all of the waves and stuff, and on the other side it's just bump, just a flat, not rounded edges part that it just looked weird. So that's why I rounded up the edges, and I like it the way it is now. I'm just gonna get my tool to punch the hole into the tag, and again I'm missing the English word. Gosh. But I guess I'm just I'm writing down the sentiment first, it seems. But I thought I would put the hole in the paper first. Well, I guess I don't. Anyways, I'm writing down my sentiment, and as you can see, the word grow, I write that all in capital letters only, because that is actually where the double meaning comes from. I want to, of course, grow old with my husband, but I also want to grow as a person with him, or just alone, to be like more sophisticated and just sure of myself the older I get, and just to experience life and to, well, grow. That's pretty much it. Grow as a person, grow old with him, grow in our marriage, be a good person or human being, and be a good wife. That's the double meaning of the word grow with the capital letters for me. So now that my dream is written down, I'm finally going to punch the hole into the cardstock so that I can attach a string that will help me put the tag onto my journal page. And there we are. And I'm just trying to find the place where I want to put it, because I don't want to glue it down to the page. I was briefly thinking about that, but I would not have liked it. So I'm just going for one of those fabric crinkles in the upper part, and add the tag there. And I'm just punching a hole into the fabric, which was pretty easy, since it's still movable and flexible and so on. And now I'm just going to add some string to the tag and put it through the pillow fabric also, But unfortunately, I didn't tie the knot big enough, and it would have slipped through the punched hole in the pillowcase. So in the end, I'm helping the string to stay in place with a little bit of glue too. That actually looks pretty good. So trying to figure it out with a knot, and yeah, I guess I should have made a double knot, but anyways, I didn't. So it with a bit of pressure, it would just rip apart the pillow fabric cloth thing around the punched hole, so I didn't want to have that happen. So I just helped it along with a tiny bit of glue, letting or holding the knot in place, and just to secure everything around it and make sure that I couldn't ruin the design by accident just because I did not glue something down. And you know, I'm clumsy. If you know me if you know me personally, you know that I'm clumsy, but you could guess that I'm clumsy too by other things that I do, like letting things slip or letting them fall over while I craft. So you could imagine that I would have been able to totally ruin this design months later just because I did not glue the knot down. But anyways, I did, and I used one of my hair clips again to hold the cloth in place while the glue dries. Now I'm moving forward to actually the real goofy part of the design, and that is I'm sketching out artificial teeth, because when I'm old, I think, like really, really old, I think I might be wearing them. I don't know. But I think it's something that we all associate with old people, is artificial teeth that they have in a glass of water on their nightstand. So me being goofy, I think, well, come on, let's just put it onto the page and just draw it in and make everybody giggle. Well, at least I made myself giggle while I painted that, and also while now looking back at the video during the voiceover process, I'm giggling again. So hey, mission accomplished again. And I'm just going very, very rough with my line work here. I don't care if it's the right angle or perspective or whatnot. I just wanted to look goofy. That's all. So that's why I'm not going in with a pencil first, but I am confident enough to go in with permanent marker just to sketch out the glass. And hey, what do I care if it's not the correct angle? It made me giggle. So I'm just coloring in the teeth with my Copic markers, with a bit of very, very light pink, and I'm going with a stronger pink in a couple of seconds, and that will actually be, I think I did use the Indian ink markers. That's another pink, which I don't like in the end. It's like horrible. Huh? No, it's a Copic marker. Okay, so I'm going to use the pink, not of the Indian inks, but of the Copic markers. I did not remember that. But anyways, I'm going to use the blue blue Indian ink markers anyways. And I really like them because with a non-porous surface such as mine, I can blend the Indian ink for quite a couple of seconds, and it makes nice patterns and just helps you along with a certain texture of the drawing, so to say. So I just go over it with my finger and I blend it, and that's totally cool. Looks like water glass. Now I'm actually also going over the teeth a bit, because the water is around the teeth and not only in the back and on the sides. So I have to go over my just drawn teeth with my Indian ink markers and add some water lines there. Now I just realized that I did not put the glass onto the table, but it's kind of like hanging in the air, and since I always in real life have it on my nightstand, and just to go back to reality, I'm adding a book underneath my artificial teeth to keep the perspective and not to have it hanging in the air, you know. Keep it real, people, even with a goofy comic. So I'm using this warm gray Indian ink marker to paint the pages, and then I'm going around the block that I just painted with the Copic marker to draw in the binding of the book. And I'm adding a few black lines here and there to indicate that these are pages and that there are a lot of them, and parts of the book and the glass with the teeth is behind the frame, so the frame is in front, way in front of the teeth in the book, so I can argue why the frame is so big and the teeth glass isn't and the pillow isn't and all of that. So, and on the other hand, it's just my art journal page, so I'm able to try that out, these kind of things. So I'm just adding a bit of shades with the brown Indian ink marker to the book and the frame, and then I'm actually going in with yellow, because the upper part, the white upper part, it just looked like it wouldn't be long, was a bit too empty, so I added a bit of yellow Indian ink marker to maybe say, you know, this is the reflection of the night lamp that is out of the frame. You don't see it, but you see the light on the wall that is happening, and it's also connects the yellow pillow a bit more to the right side of the design. Makes it just more complete, I guess. So now I'm just going in with my black markers, black Indian ink. I'm just adding the real dark shadows here and there on the lower part of the frame and the book, and tiny bit here and there at the glass, but I'm not smudging it at the glass. I'm just not really smudging it, just helping it along and just to make it a bit more prominent. I'm adding just a teensy tiny bit here and there on the frame too. Again, just to make it look more 3D and antique or old, just old. That's pretty much the end of the design. I'm not gonna do as much anymore. I'm going to work a bit more on the shadows underneath the frame and underneath the book too. Just enhancing them way more. Putting a dark streak here and there, just indicating, well, this is an old piece of furniture, so it's not smooth anymore. It has been maybe in our life and in our marriage like forever, and it just aged. So that's why I put down some very dark spots here and there. It's all about the good part of age and aging in that matter. So what I'm only gonna do is I'm setting down the date on my page, and then I'm actually done. And I thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, let me know. Go create, enjoy, and I'm gonna see you next week with a new edition of the watch along video. Take good care and goodbye.